Hello everyone, what's up guys? The Insane Game Break here. And Sony had a conference today. Now for those who know, I do not own a PlayStation 4. And I said if I was going to get one, the new one I would probably end up getting is the PlayStation 4 Neo, which is now confirmed to be known as the PlayStation 4 Pro. They had their conference and we found out that the Slim is coming out on the 15th, which is literally like a fucking week from now. Not even a week, like less than a week from now. And then the Pro is coming out in November. And PlayStation 4 doesn't have an Ultra 4K Blu-ray player. Now for someone like me who never really played like who knows, for one, doesn't buy a lot of Blu-ray films in itself, let alone ultra high 4K films. I didn't really give a fuck about this feature. I do think it's dumb that it's not there because, you have the patent on Blu-rays and you didn't put a Blu-ray player in your console because you wanted it to be interesting for the gamer. And this is kind of my thoughts and opinions on the PlayStation 4 Pro event. Because it's a very weird event, and the answer I come to in terms of am I getting one when it comes out, turned into a more confusing question than what I thought it was originally going to be. Okay, so first things first, the event was boring as fuck. Sony suffers a lot from not being interesting or fun at all. So, but it seems like with E3 and this event also being a continuation of, is that they've learned that fuck it, if we can't be entertaining, at least make short conferences. So even though we're boring, we can get through shit in a relatively quick manner, because Sony was like, here's a whole bunch of games in E3, and here's the PlayStation 4 Pro event that's only like, I think it was like somewhere between 33 to like 45 minutes. It was pretty short, which is perfectly fine for me. But here's the thing, when they were talking about the game, they kept talking about the 4K resolution. And as I've learned through watching technical spec videos and other things, with the specs and the upgrade in the GPU that they've done to the 4K system, nothing's really going to be hitting native 4K. Like, the biggest problem with this console is that it's appealing to a demographic of people who either can't fully take advantage of the system, or even those who can take full advantage of the system isn't going to even be able to put out exactly what it's claiming to be able to put out. Most people have already noticed you can't get real 4K, like native 4K on this shit. There are some games, some low gravity, graphic intensive games that'll be able to hit 4K, but most games won't be native 4K, which is what people were going for. The other problem I personally have, because I don't really care about it being 4K. Even if I get one, it ain't got nothing to do with whether or not I can get 4K, because I don't own a 4K television anyway, or a 4K screen to begin with. My issue was this next part. You kept talking about all this performance upgrades, specifically around the 4K and what its effects for like VR and shit were, but you know what you never talked about? The fucking frame rate. Like, no one gives a, like, to me, and I would think most gamers, they kept talking about how they were for the gamer, but they never talked about frame rates until it was confirmed later, is that even though PlayStation 4K Pro could probably do higher frame rates in games, Sony's putting them in a position where essentially pro games can't outshine their counterparts. Meaning, if you can play at 60 frames per second on the if you can't play 60 frames per second on the PlayStation 4 vanilla version, you're not going to be able to do it on the PlayStation 4 Pro version. Even though the Pro version has the ability to put the games at higher frame rates. And it's that whole, well, we're just going to lock it down so the superior version of the console suffers. Which then brings up the question, so literally I'm buying a console that has intentionally locked potential that I can't access without doing some type of bullshit ass hacking or modding to the console, or hoping to God that whoever the individual developer is decides to give me the ability to access higher frame rates and graphics and shit. Specifically higher frame rates. Well, that's like half of the reason why anyone would want to buy the stupid thing is gone, because it's up in the fucking air. And it's what kind of led me to the conclusion to realize that literally, this is essentially this is like a worse variation of what the new 3DS was. Because at least the new 3DS wasn't afraid to have games that play inherently better on the new 3DS. Now, granted, the biggest problem that it had versus the benefit that the PlayStation 4 had is that the PlayStation 4 is forward compatible, but even that's really a nitpicky situation because that all boils down to whether or not each developer wants to patch a specific game to take advantage of the PlayStation 4K, which a lot of games won't be able to, primarily because the only advantage you're getting is a bump in graphics. Well, games like Persona 5 or fucking, Seren Kagura are anime-looking games that really can't get any better in terms of graphics and detail because they're fucking anime games. They're not highly detailed in the first place. And also for games that run perfectly fine, it's just kind of like, so that only means the realistic games can really benefit from it. And it has to be realistic games you're interested in. And so, but at least the new 3DS was like, okay, look, Hyrule Legends runs better on the new 3DS. Fucking, you can only play, what is it? What is it? I can't think of the full name of the series. It's by the people who made Super Meat Boy. It's like is it the Birth of Isaac? It might be like the Afterbirth, like Birth of Isaac Afterbirth. I'm gonna regret because I'll probably remember the name of the game fully, but that game is only playable on the new 3DS. There are certain games that are only playable on the new 3DS, and there are also games that play better on the new 3DS. Whereas the PlayStation 4 is just kind of like, oh, it'll look better, but that's about it. So I get the graphical improvement, but not the improvement to frame rate, which is the thing most gamers care more about. They don't really like graphical style. As long as you have a good art style, it doesn't really fucking matter. It's the fact that the game runs like shit that I'm more concerned about, which it seems like Sony is specifically locking because they want to keep parity. Then why make a 4K version in the first place? You want to keep parity with the other console, but you made a console that's better than the other consoles you have out. So you weren't trying to keep parity. You just pretended like you were. Like, it's like a half-ass version of like the 3DS, the new 3DS. I'm going to call this the new PlayStation 4. That's what I'm calling it now. It's not the fucking PlayStation 4 Pro. It's like the fake-ass new PlayStation 4. Because it's a PlayStation 4 that wants to go halfway with being a fucking better console. It's a better console in terms of graphics, but there's nothing else it improves on. It's just a graphical beast with the potential to have better frame rates, but is not allowed to have better frame rates because Sony wants to keep parity all of a fucking sudden. Even though it was shown through other iterations of the older PlayStation consoles, they had no problem making a revision or a change to the console that was better. And considering the PlayStation 4 Pro is already a new iteration and an enhancement to the console, why the fuck are you worrying about parity all of a sudden? My PlayStation 4 games automatically are worse now on the PlayStation 4 Vanilla or even on the Slim because they don't look as good. So now you've just made it's not even like a PlayStation 4.5, it's more like a PlayStation 2.5. And you're just like, well, what the fuck was the point of that? Just if you're gonna make a Pro, just like what Xbox One will do with the Scorpio, I'm hoping, make it better. I don't give it at this point. If I'm interested in buying this console, I want it to be as good as it can. Fuck parity. As long as it can play PlayStation 4 games, that's all I'm concerned about. I don't give a fuck if the PlayStation 4 Pro version of the game looks better. When you were willing to make a new iteration of the PlayStation 4, just like Xbox was willing to make a new iteration of the Xbox One, at that point in time, you should have already recognized that, look, we are going to fuck parity. This game will run better on the Pro. That's how you get people to buy the fucking console. Otherwise, it just seems like you've wasted your time. You've made a console that's like a half-assed. It's like a console that couldn't commit to either side. You could be a little bit better, but you didn't want to be too better, or else too better. You didn't want to be better than the PlayStation 4 by a ridiculous amount, so you killed my frame rate. Why rather if you boosted the frame rate and said fuck the graphics? And the fact that this is coming out way too soon, like no one expected this thing to come out this year, because the Scorpio isn't even coming out this year. And the PlayStation 4 being this fucking 0.25 upgrade instead of the 0.5 upgrade it was claiming to be, you make Scorpio look disgustingly better. Hell, the Slim looks better for Xbox One now because of it. And because this console is going to be like a weird in-between game console, I'm like 90% sure this console is probably going to get replaced or changed in the near future, like within the next year or so. I bet you as soon as the Scorpio is announced, that following holiday season, the fucking thing will get changed again. Which is the fucking problem. You spent your conference talking about the 4K resolution of games, and this is what also made your conference look worse. You didn't give us game demos. They kept saying they did, but they all look like tech demos. Even after the conference was over, I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna get some hands-on gameplay footage. No, you get the fucking developers talking, sitting down and talking, while the footage of the tech demo footage we saw a minute ago was playing in the background. It's like, oh look, here's the Horizon Zero Dawn footage. But no, it's not. It's the same fucking tech demo footage you showed like 20 minutes ago with the fucking developers just sitting there talking about it. Well, why the fuck did you do that? Usually when the fucking conference is over, you've used that time to string gameplay, not developer interviews with the gameplay, with like tech demo footage. It wasn't even new footage. The only footage I've seen in Horizon Zero Dawn is the same tech demo footage they showed in the fucking conference. And I'm just sitting there going, what? Why even do that? It's like Sony got scared all of a sudden to put more power into it. Now, granted, I'm 90% sure that the reasoning was more so in pricing than it was in terms of, it was more so in pricing than it was for actual, like, I'm afraid to put power in my console. But see, when you get to this point where you've essentially made like a not even a 0.5 console, but a 0.25 console, you know what you should have just done at that point? You should have done what Xbox did. Release the fucking Slim. Because a lot of people are sitting there looking at the Slim going, well, why the fuck would I buy the Slim when the Slim isn't even like a decent amount cheaper? It's like, It's like, okay, it's $300. If it was like $200 or $250, maybe this would have been okay. But the fact that this and Pro are so fucking close together, what reason do I have to buy the Slim? Well, it's like, well, you can't take full advantage of the PlayStation 4 Pro because you don't have an ultra 4K TV. Yeah, but game developers don't take advantage of their consoles to begin with. And also, to me, it's just future proofing. Like, buying a Pro now wouldn't hurt because eventually we'll start upgrading to 4K TVs when the prices go down. So instead of having to upgrade my console later, I can just buy the console now and then at my own pace upgrade my TV with a console that's already ready for that new TV before I even buy it. The problem I have is that because of this console's weird half-ass way of being presented to the point where it feels like you should have just waited a year and just come out with a true 4.5 continuation of the PlayStation 4 line, my fear is that this is going to get fucking replaced in like a year or so. So as much as I would not mind buying this console, I don't think it's going to be around long, so I'm going to wait it out. Because right now, there's nothing I'm fiending for on the PlayStation 4 lineup except for like a few games. Persona 5 being the only thing, and that comes out on the PlayStation 3, which I own. So it's not even like I'm sweating that much. So really, when it boils down to it, I don't have faith in this console of doing well, let alone staying on the market long in its current form. Therefore, I will wait until next year, because at that point I'll have an NX, hopefully, and I will have seen the Scorpio, and I will also have seen Sony's decisions going forward. Because releasing this as fast as you have, you're either going to do one or two things. You're going to just fucking double down on it, which Sony kind of goes in and out with depending on the hardware, or you're just going to say fuck it and just release a better revision of the same console, which will come off as a dick move to those who purchase this console. But since when does Sony care about not being a dick to its consumers? They just do it on the low key so fucking consumers don't get vocally angry about it. And the fact that the only fucking change in this console is literally just, oh, by the way, you can play things in 4K now. Or higher resolution is what I should say, because it's not really true 4K. I can play things at higher resolution, but I can't stream Blu-rays. But Netflix and YouTube are cool. Fucking Blu-rays, no. The fuck? I don't know. But please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Tell me how you guys feel about it. I don't fucking feel like it's worth the time or effort. I want to see how well this thing sells. If the thing sells well, they'll fucking stick with it. If it doesn't, they'll drop it like a bag of shit. And honestly, I don't think it's going to stay well because there's no point in owning this thing. Even for someone like me, I'm just like, it's the best option that I could buy. And for someone who doesn't own a PlayStation 4, it's the best option you can buy. But it still feels half-assed. It feels like you made no improvement to the console other than, oh, by the way, you can play in better graphical quality than you could before. But because you're locking frame rates, and then every fucking game turns into a guessing game of whether or not the developer is going to unlock the frame rate to let us play at higher frame rates, or if they're going to keep getting forced by Sony. Because if Sony changes that, and I see a few games that come out that are worth a damn in terms of getting for Pro, I'm more liable to get a new 3DS as a Nintendo fanboy, and I already played PlayStation. I already played my 3DS like a madman, so that was a no-brainer upgrade. I'm not on a PlayStation 4, and there aren't many games I give a damn about buying. And the only reason why I have a few games is because they're not on PC. Some of which could be, and may come to PC in the near future. So I'm just gonna wait. I'm not, ironically enough, this generation I am not in a rush to buy another console because I know it'll just fucking sit. Kind of like how the PlayStation 3 did after like the first year I bought it. But that's just me. And I bought that in 2010, by the way. But yeah, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. This has been the Insane Graying Freak. Are you getting the PlayStation 4 Pro or the new PlayStation 4? Life's a game. Play to win. And I will catch you guys later. Peace.